What's up guys, it's Tom here and welcome back to a brand new Liverpool transfer news video. And in this video we will talk about the reports coming from England. Many newspapers, the Mirror, the Daily Star and the Telegraph are reporting that Ruben Neves is one of the main transfer targets for Liverpool this summer because Wijnaldum still hasn't signed his new contract and he will be able to leave on a free transfer next summer, even though Liverpool and both Wijnaldum and Liverpool want to extend his contract. At the moment there is no agreement in place yet. Lallana is leaving at the end of the season, and also according to the reports Liverpool have been, and especially Jurgen Klopp, have been not too impressed by Naby Keita and his contribution. Naby Keita only has 2 goals this season in like 20 appearances and he has been injured for quite some time. And Ruben Neves is a very talented 23-year-old Portuguese international, and he is of course famous for his epic, amazing long-range goals, and Wolves are pushing for the top 4, so I think they will be reluctant to lose Ruben Neves. But an offer of around £40 million could persuade Wolves to sell him to Liverpool. So let me know guys, do you think Ruben Neves would be a good transfer target for Liverpool? In the comments below let me know, and leave a like if you enjoy these transfer news videos. Subscribe, turn on the bell notification so you never miss the latest Liverpool and football news on this channel. And also we will have an interview for you guys with Ruben Neves and him talking about his future. Also major updates on whether Wijnaldum will be staying at Liverpool or leaving, and also Marco Grujic is of interest of Lazio, so more on that later in this video. And also we will have an interview with Carragher where he said some very interesting things about the Timo Werner transfer and Liverpool's summer transfer situation. So this fresh report coming from various English newspapers are saying that Liverpool are looking to keep their midfield intact, but they risk losing Wijnaldum because of failed contract extension. His contract is running out next summer. And Steve McManaman, the former Liverpool player, has a very interesting take on how Jurgen Klopp operates in the transfer market. He said this: you would love Liverpool to go and buy a superstar, but when has Jurgen Klopp gone out and bought a superstar that was at the tip of everyone's tongue? Mo Salah and Sadio Mane at the time were signings that came out of left field to a certain extent. You never know with Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp. They have done a great job in the past with signings, and maybe they've got one up their sleeve for the summer. And it's right, Salah, Mane, Firmino, many other Liverpool players weren't like the exactly superstars when they signed for Liverpool. They were made superstars by Liverpool. Maybe Alisson and Van Dijk were the only 2 players that I would consider really true big superstars when they signed for Liverpool, but the others not so much. Liverpool developed them and nurtured them and brought them onto this world-class level. So Ruben Neves used to play for Porto, and then Wolves signed him for £15 million in 2017, and that was a very shrewd business. He's 23 years old only. He played 42 games in his first season for Wolves, scoring 6 goals, then 40 games in his second season, scoring 5 goals, and then another 43 games this season, and this season is still going, and he scored 4 goals this season. So he's a very reliable, not too injury prone player. And also Liverpool's current assistant manager Pep Wijnaldum used to work at Porto between 2008 and 2012. Pep Wijnaldum said that Liverpool have Ruben Neves on their radar. He confirmed this in an interview with a Portuguese outlet, and this is what Pep Wijnaldum said: I know Ruben Neves very well, his ambition, his passion for the game, his professionalism. I know what he gives to the team, and these type of players always interest us at Liverpool. I recognized him when I saw him at Wolves. I saw technique, professionalism. I saw the 2013-2014 player I knew. So I was wrong. Wijnaldum was a coach, a Porto coach from 2008 to 2014, and Ruben Neves was a Porto player in the 2013-14 season already. He was at Porto, so Pep Wijnaldum took a close look at him back then as a young player. And Pep Wijnaldum also confirmed that he spoke to Ruben Neves recently And he said this: yes, it was a special moment. He is a good man. He's got a wife, a baby, so it's good to see my boys that were at Porto with me back then. And that is just further confirms that Pep Wijnaldum has a personal connection with Ruben Neves, which I really think is very significant, because always you want to have a personal connection straight away with the player that you are about to sign, and Pep Wijnaldum definitely has a personal connection with Ruben Neves, so that's always good to see, and that will help during the negotiations. But I don't think Liverpool need to convince Ruben Neves to come to Liverpool, because at the moment Liverpool are, in my opinion, the most attractive club in the Premier League and one of the most attractive clubs in Europe. And also I think Liverpool need to convince Wolves by paying the transfer fee for Ruben Neves. But I think first Liverpool will sell some players, Shaqiri, maybe even Origi. We are selling Grujic, Harry Wilson, maybe other players, Nathaniel Klein, Lallana are leaving Liverpool at the end of the season. So a lot of wages and a lot of transfer fees will be freed up. So even if we don't generate as much money in terms of revenue coming in, we can still generate some transfer funds by selling players. So I think Ruben Neves for 40, 45, maybe even 50 million would be a very good deal for Liverpool. And Ruben Neves spoke about his future when he was in the Portuguese training camp recently. He said this: I don't think about my future that much. I try to do my best both at my club Wolves and at the national team in Portugal. Whatever comes will come naturally. I will focus on my work to the fullest, and the rest will take care of itself. Neves ticks all the boxes that you want for a young midfielder. He is young, he has immense quality on the ball, he can score from long range, epic goals. His ball distribution is fantastic, he can run with the ball, he can dribble, he can tackle. He's like an all-round midfielder, a box-to-box midfielder if you like. Pretty similar to Jorginho Wijnaldum. Maybe not as good as Wijnaldum, but Wijnaldum is like 28, 29 years old, and Ruben Neves is like just 23. So he still hasn't reached his full potential, I think. So according to some English newspapers, Jurgen Klopp had lost patience with Naby Keita, but he is willing to give Naby Keita one more season to prove himself. I'm not sure how true these reports are, but I can see the frustration, because many Liverpool fans, including myself, are pretty frustrated that Naby Keita just can't get a good run of games, because I feel that he showed flashes of brilliance from time to time, but he always gets injured when he's about to hit peak form and get a run of games in the Liverpool team. I mean, he starred again against Blackburn Rovers in the behind closed doors, played friendly, where Liverpool won 6-0. Naby Keita got a goal and an assist. And that's the kind of player he is. When he's on form, he can score goals, get assists, but he hasn't showed it consistently at Liverpool, and that's the problem. He needs to be more consistent, he needs to contribute more with goals and assists. Otherwise, Liverpool will lose patience with Naby Keita and maybe move him on. So Ruben Neves could either play in the defensive midfield position, sometimes when Fabinho is required to rest, or he is injured or suspended, or he could play in the Wijnaldum role next to Fabinho and Jordan Henderson in a three-man midfield. But I don't think that Liverpool are desperately in need of signing Ruben Neves. I think that even if Wijnaldum doesn't sign a new contract, he will stay at Liverpool and just play out his last year. But hopefully he will sign a new contract, more on that a little bit later. And Ruben Neves is already a pretty experienced player. He already played 16 times for the Portuguese national team, winning the UEFA Nations League last year, and also he finished second in the UEFA European Under-21 Championship with Portuguese Under-21 team, and also he won the championship with Wolves back in the 2017-18 season. The Mirror newspaper is reporting that Liverpool have reportedly made a breakthrough in the contract talks with Jorginho Wijnaldum, and Liverpool expected the midfielder to commit his future to the club. Wijnaldum's current deal expires next summer, so he will be able to negotiate with clubs from abroad next January, and Liverpool don't want that to happen. We want to tie him down. He's 29 years old, but he still has a good 2 or 3 years in him. I think that he can contribute at Liverpool, and I want him to stay for another 2 or 3 years, because Wijnaldum right now is absolutely fantastic. He's one of our most important midfielders, so I really think that Liverpool will do everything to keep him at the football club. And I think Wijnaldum just wanted assurances that he's still a key player and he is not just going to sit on the bench in the next 2 years, and maybe he wanted a longer contract than Liverpool were initially willing to offer him. Barcelona apparently were showing interest in Wijnaldum, and you can understand why, because Wijnaldum came on at halftime in the Liverpool-Barcelona game, and he scored 2 goals to knock Barcelona out and complete a famous comeback in the second leg in a route to the Champions League victory for Liverpool. So he will be forever a Liverpool legend, even if he leaves Liverpool at the end of the season. And he's also massively contributed to Liverpool winning the Premier League title, hopefully this season. We just need 1 or 2 more wins and then it will be confirmed. And there is a fresh report coming from the Gazzetta dello Sport, an Italian newspaper, saying that Serie A team Lazio are interested in signing Liverpool midfielder Marco Grujic, who has been out on loan at Hertha Berlin for the past 2 seasons, and he had a pretty awesome first season in Hertha. His second season has been hindered a little bit by injuries, but he also had some good matches in the Bundesliga, but he hasn't hit the heights that is required for Liverpool to be playing in a Liverpool midfield right now. And you can't really fault Marco Grujic. Liverpool's midfield is one of the best in the world. They are absolutely incredible, and you have to be a world-class player to get into Liverpool's midfield, and Marco Grujic is just a level below that, in my opinion. But you can also make an argument that if Marco Grujic really wants to double down and challenge for a place in Liverpool's midfield, there are some players who Marco Grujic could challenge. For example, Lallana is leaving, James Milner is getting older and older, so maybe Marco Grujic could take over the role of James Milner in Liverpool's midfield. And also, he's a different kind of player to Liverpool's more defensive-minded midfielders. Fabinho and Henderson are brilliant, but Marco Grujic is a more like natural ball-playing midfielder. I don't want to compare him to Xabi Alonso because he's just on another level, but Marco Grujic is a similar type of player in that he can spray balls in and around the midfield from a deep lying dying playmaker role. I'm not saying that Henderson and Fabinho can't do that, because they can, but maybe Marco Grujic is more natural in that role than those players, if you know what I mean. And Jamie Carragher said this about the Timo Werner's failed transfer to Liverpool. He says this: "I honestly believe that if the pandemic hadn't happened, then Timo Werner would be a Liverpool player. If Werner had signed for Liverpool, he wouldn't have been first choice, because the front three is what it is. They are world class. He would have brought the versatility, though. I think Liverpool are lacking, because he can play out wide or through the middle, but spending £50 million on someone who would not be a first choice is a huge decision. If there had been the Olympics at the Africa Cup of Nations next season, then Klopp would have been able to guarantee Werner plenty of games when Salah and Mane were missing. He would have probably got 25-30 games in minimum with those tournaments being postponed. It would have been harder to convince now Werner to sign, because the front three don't miss many games at Liverpool. And yes, would Werner have been happy with just playing sometimes against smaller sides in the Premier League, playing in the League Cup, playing in the FA Cup? I don't think so. Werner wanted to be a regular in a Premier League side, starting almost every game in the Premier League, in the Champions League, and he can get that at Chelsea, but he can't really get that at Liverpool. And also Liverpool's financial position at the moment is just not on the level that is required for Liverpool to make risks, really big risks in the transfer market. And also Jamie Carragher said this about Liverpool's title challenge The title, the Premier League title for Liverpool is actually a formality, to be honest. I don't think there will be too much disappointment about the stadiums being empty. Liverpool fans just want to see the title won in the right way. No one wanted to be given it, as has happened in other leagues. And I don't think many people are too bothered about breaking any records either. Even before the Watford game, before the lockdown, I didn't have the feeling that everyone was talking about becoming invincible. This season has been all about ending that 30-year wait for the league title. Maybe if we had won 2 or 3 titles in recent seasons, there would have been more focus on going unbeaten, but records are a secondary consideration now. If I were in Jurgen Klopp's position, I would start thinking about next season as soon as the title is clinched. There will be a quick turnaround, and it would make sense to use the remaining games to prepare for next season. I'm not talking about him playing his Carabao Cup team, but he has the opportunity to give the likes of Naby Keita, Takumi Minamino, Divock Origi more minutes. That would enable Liverpool to have their best 15 players in peak condition for next season, so they can start really quickly on the front foot in the best shape, which might be an advantage if Manchester City find themselves playing Champions League games and FA Cup games in August. And that's actually a very good point. Manchester City are still in the Champions League, in the FA Cup. They want to win both competitions, so they will play their best team throughout those competitions, and they will run themselves into the ground in August, and then just 1 or 2 weeks later the new season is going to start. So Manchester City might struggle a little bit in the new season. They might not be as fresh as Liverpool, and that could be to Liverpool's advantage, which is a very good point that Jamie Carragher makes, and I wanted to share that with you guys because I fully agree with it. And Liverpool's front three, they just had a long rest, so probably the longest they have ever had, so I expect them to be really firing next season, and maybe something like that was in Klopp's mind, as well as the financial consideration, because everyone is going to take a hit. It's alright for Chelsea because they still have the Eden Hazard money to spend, the Alvaro Morata money to spend. They didn't spend last time because of the transfer embargo. Frank Lampard is not daft. He knows he's not going to be the Chelsea manager for the next 10 years. He wanted reinforcements, and it's a great coup to get Werner and Hakim Ziyech, because those players could have gone anywhere in the world to any team. And Jamie Carragher also said this: the Anfield crowd creates a huge impact, and Klopp's football feeds off the energy, whereas Pep Guardiola's style is a bit more technical. If it was neck and neck with 9 games to go, I would probably fancy Man City to cope better in empty stadiums, but Liverpool will still get a lot of good results because they are one of the best teams. Liverpool might miss their home support more than most, but at least they will still have one big fan on the touchline. I imagine Klopp will be even more energetic when he's trying to make up for the absence of 45 to 50,000 people. Goodness knows what he's going to be doing to try and get the response he wants. And Jamie Carragher is right. Jurgen Klopp has nothing to prove to the Liverpool fans, to the Liverpool players. They adore him, the Liverpool fans. Carragher continued. Everybody does. Towards the end of my career, when we weren't even getting in the top 4, I will admit I was starting to lose belief that Liverpool could ever win the league again. We were falling further away, becoming a Europa League team. We always seemed to be a bit short financially in terms of what Man United or Chelsea could do. And then Man City came along. We ran United really close in 2009, and everyone thought we had a great chance the following year. But we ended up having a really poor season in 2009, 2010. When we did have a good season, we never seemed to capitalize over the summer in terms of buying players or taking the next step to really go for it. I don't think we could have done any more than we did in 2009. We just couldn't quite match rivals who had more money and were more attractive to top foreign players. It seemed Liverpool would never get back on top unless a Sheikh Mansour or a Roman Abramovich turned up at Anfield. For Jurgen Klopp to achieve this turnaround he has without that sort of backing is just staggering. It's mind-blowing. I mean, look at the managers he has been up against. He hasn't just come in and done well in a Mickey Mouse league. He has had to compete with Guardiola, Jose Mourinho, Pochettino, Arsene Wenger. There are some legendary managers in the Premier League. Considering where Liverpool were and the squad he inherited, the job Jurgen Klopp has done is nothing short of phenomenal. I take my hat off to him, and he is spot on, Jamie Carragher, and that's the best way to end this video. I take my hat off to Jurgen Klopp as well. What a legend, the biggest legend in the modern era of Liverpool's history, and I think the best manager that Liverpool had since Bob Paisley. He has been, and maybe Kenny Dalglish as well, he has been amazing. And winning the Champions League and 1 year later winning the Premier League is an incredible achievement that nobody could do since 1990. So hats off to Jurgen Klopp. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed this video. See you later guys, goodbye.